WandaVision episode 6 reaches the 90s era of television in a very Malcolm in the Middle inspired episode that has some pretty big implications for the remainder of the series, as well as the MCU in general. On top of being a 90s inspired episode, it's also the Halloween episode, full of the usual sitcom Halloween episode gags, but also some legitimate horror aspects, as Vision's arc this episode sees him journey to the outer reaches of the town, somewhere where Wanda keeps everyone away from, and it's where he finds people are all zombie-like, almost as if they are stuck in their own bodies, unable to call for help or move to do anything but what Wanda has forced them to do. He also has a run-in with Agnes that further confirms his belief that something foul is at play in Westview. Wanda's arc this episode deals with the re-emergence of her brother Pietro, who is now seemingly inhabiting the body of the Fox X-Men Quicksilver, and it is made clear that it is her Pietro, or at least his spirit or like his mind, just in a different body. Or is it, since there is absolutely something else at play with Pietro, being we see him both dead, much like we saw Vision a couple of episodes prior, as well as him not being under Wanda's spell at all, fully aware of what she is doing in this town, and even commenting on it being kind of like a angel devil on her shoulder, even trying to determine how she is doing this, and to a point where it seems like he's doing it for someone, like someone else is trying to determine what Wanda is doing and he's like the middleman trying to figure that out for them, or he's trying to learn it for himself since he's not Quicksilver and is someone like Nightmare or Mephisto. While Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany and Evan Peters deliver some fantastic, unsettling acting, the best this episode has to be Catherine Hahn as Agnes, turning it up to 11 when her mind is freed from Wanda's spell and even briefly turning into a cackling witch, which is pretty fantastic given she is dressed as a witch and she's kind of Agatha Harkness from the comics. I do love the idea that people freed from Wanda's control all seem to immediately crack and go somewhat insane thanks to what they have been through, since again they're kind of trapped in their own bodies and they see themselves doing all this stuff but they have no control over themselves, so you would go insane from that. On the other side of the story we have all of the sword stuff, and we get a little bit more of Jimmy Woo and his team's plot, learning that Hayward isn't really being truthful with everyone and he absolutely is up to something nefarious, since he is tracking Vision within the Hex Shield, something he was adamant they couldn't or haven't been able to do yet, so he's been hiding all of this from the people he is working with. And all of this culminates in the exciting ending of the episode where Wanda's true power is realized, and to save Vision, who has managed to escape the Hex and save him from Sword and from death, Wanda expands the Hex to almost double its size, swallowing up a big portion of Sword and humorously turning Sword into clowns, which I thought was quite funny. On top of that, we get what I'm going to call is the first emergence of mutants within the MCU, as it's explained that people who enter and exit the Shield have something changed within them, have their DNA changed per se, which is how Monica is going to be introduced to her powers, obviously, since we've been getting hints at that throughout the episodes, but I can absolutely see this is a way that the X gene is given out to a small number of the population, and I imagine we're going to see other people emerge from this shield with powers as well. WandaVision episode 6 really ramped up the creep factor and forwarded the plot in a really exciting new way, and opens the doors to some new and interesting things to come to the MCU proper, including the possible introduction of mutants. Catherine Hahn was the standout of this episode with some really wonderful unhinged bit of acting that helps spur some of the characters' motivations towards some new territory as we head into the final 3 episodes of the series. I'm going to give WandaVision episode 6 a 10 out of 10.